Hey everyone and welcome. We are Next Level Business Advisors and this is Business Stories of Success. If you want to break through and achieve your own business success by learning from other successful business owners, you're in the right channel. For more of our content, make sure you click subscribe and don't forget the bell icon so you're the first to be notified when new videos are added. Enjoy today's video.
Hello, this is part 2 of our 2-part interview with our successful business owner. If you've missed part 1, perhaps you want to pause the video, go back, check out the first one, and then come and listen to this interview. If you have already seen part 1, we'll enjoy part 2.
I think I'm extremely successful, but you never stop. You never stop having new goals. You shouldn't anyhow, as long as you're breathing. I have 2 kids. My daughter, during the pandemic, we both wrote a book at the same time. Well, I wrote mine and she wrote hers afterwards. My second book I wrote during the pandemic, You Won't Starve, and then she wrote her first book. So I'm helping her. I'm teaching her how to do this entrepreneurship thing that she's always seen her dad do. I have goals for me as a dad with her. I shared something about me taking summers off. It wasn't because I just don't want to do anything. I don't think I'm capable of not doing anything. But I live in a town, it's a college town. And so this town kind of dies in the summertime. All the kids go away and, people in the city, the county, state government, everybody's pretty much coasting. They haven't gotten their money in yet, for the next fiscal year. They don't roll around to September. So, they after June, they're like, all right, that's a done deal. So the town is kind of, dead until, all into August, beginning of September. So my goal was when my kids got out of school, I want to leave. And then we come back in August. And we're close. My family and I are very, very close to that. I remember saying that like 3 years ago. I was in a networking group and I was the only Black person there. And they were asked that question. They were saying, what is something that you want to do? And I said, I want to take summers off. The whole room said, wow, because they couldn't fathom that. But no, I'm not going to not do anything, but I speak, I train, I teach. And the pandemic actually kind of helped that, because now people have me. Yeah, they have me all over the place. I've been doing speaking engagements in all type of places now, from Zoom. But these are people who, they know I traveled a lot prior to the pandemic. I still traveled a good amount last year. I hated it, because I watched the planes be empty. And I watched it get full up. I'm like, I can't do it no more. So I would go to certain places, make those relationships, and and make it happen. So I'll still be doing some things, but I just want my family to leave home and be able to go to another home in another place.
That's nice. That's a nice vision of success. So now let me ask you this question, because you're close, and so and you said you're successful, and you're working toward new goals that will define success in a new way for you, right? Mm-hmm. Give us one thing. Obviously, it's not only one, but one thing that was really integral to your getting to the successful journeys that you have.
Oh man,
that someone can tag for themselves. I need to be.
Oh no, it's cliche, but believing in myself, and I say that because I lost all faith in myself. When the pandemic, when the global recession, when the recession hit, I made some decisions that I felt was unsavory. As far as I ran away. Me and my family lived in 4 different places in 2 years, from 2010 to 2012, trying to figure things out. That's why it was important for when, years later, when we had the 1,000-year flood, for me to stand tall and go through whatever the hardship was, because I didn't think that my decisions were smart. I didn't think I was making good decisions. I'm like, you got to grow up. You got to be more mature. You're making dumb decisions. You can't be like a child. Because it was always a thing that everybody liked about me. I was ready to pick up and go. I would move without a problem. I'm not feeling it here. Let's go someplace else. Let's do this. But I had to grow and I understood that you can't grow unless you plant it. I understood that. And so when I planted my flag here, and, a lot of times you get tested. So when that 1,000-year flood came, I could have easily said, let's go someplace else. Not to mention the financial, situation, everything like that. I stood tall. And then that very next year, everything kind of took off for me. at that point. And so just starting back, believing in myself, and I started taking more risk again, you know, and it started paying off, you know, and I started taking bigger risks. But yes, I was not believing in myself. I second guessed everything that came out of my mouth for a while. You know, but once after I made that decision, my wife was even saying she's not from here either. She's from the DC area. She's like, let's get out of this place.
Ooh.
You know, and to fight her and say, no, we're going to stay and we're going to stick it out. And, you know, I think that she's happy with the decision as well. But that was one of those things I actually had to believe in myself. I had nobody to, you know, I know her parents would have been like, yeah, y'all go. And everybody else would have been like, I understand. I had people say, man, you're supposed to be in LA somewhere or something like that. You know, they expect that of me, and that's fine. But I knew what I needed to do. I needed to actually prove to myself that I can stay planted. I can actually build something that can stand the test of time. Nice. And now what we have here has been helping other individuals through this global pandemic. Right. You know, at Wont Starve Academy, we opened up a virtual learning pod. And so now we have individuals with their kids from low-income housing or, you know, not well-to-do areas, have their kids in my building where I am now, you know, have their kids here safely virtually learning.
Nice.
You know, because they can't take their kids to school or they don't feel comfortable with taking their kids to school. So me standing the test of time, me standing tall in that point made room for other individuals.
Very nice. So that's a good point for people to believe in yourself. But you also said something else, if I can put words in your mouth almost. You said, I believed in myself, but I planned, right? So it was like, you know, not just, some people, you know, they believe in themselves, but they're not doing anything to actually better themselves. And so they're in a bad cycle. But you believed, you saw you were weak, you made adjustments, and then you planned. And that seems like what catapulted you to keep moving forward. And that's the thing that's amazing about it, you know, because self-belief is important, but we got to believe that we can make the changes and adjustments that we need to. So I was listening to you talk a lot through a lot of what you said. And there's another thing that really jumped out at me that I like about you. You're very insightful. You like reflect on what you are currently doing and how you can make it better. That's what I pull from it, right? Mm-hmm. Even with the photography, like, okay, I'm making money here, but I can make it better if I do. You know, I have these challenges and I love that. And I think that's something that you must exude to others. Like people must be able to sense that when you're teaching them and you're training them. Am I right about that?
Yeah, definitely. And you know, it wasn't always that way. It was always the gumption first. You know, I was always tough enough to go and try something. You know, I always had the guts to go ahead and try something. But then I had to start getting calculated after a while, you know, because it would be up, then down, up, then down, up, then down.
Right. Roller coaster.
You know, so you needed to have a plan so it can keep going this way. Mm-hmm. And I understood that. So I was obedient to that. But trust me, it didn't start out that way. You know, that grandstand, it was just in the moment thing. Like, you know what? I tried the running thing plenty of times. Let's try this. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then I always tell people, acknowledge those small wins because that's what keep people around, you know, because when you can be telling somebody to do something all the time, but if they don't get a win out of it, they don't get even a small win out of it, they're going to be like, man, it's not for me. It's not working. Right. And so when I stood tall, you know, I tell you that story, I was literally here and the mayor had some things going on because, you know, the city was underwater, literally. You know, pretty much half the state of South Carolina was underwater. And so the mayor was out helping, and I just was going out helping like everybody else. You know, we were getting together, passing out water. I got my camera everywhere I go. Right. And I'm snapping pictures of the mayor. And he said, man, what you gonna do with those pictures? I said, I'll send them to you. And he said, all right. I got the pictures to him, and he hired me to take pictures of him for the rest of the time. So wow. I'm taking pictures of him while he's meeting with city officials from other states coming in to give us relief. And so pretty much for a good period of time, everything that the mayor was doing was being captured by my camera exclusively. And now, if I would have decided to say, let me go someplace else, or let me just...
That opportunity would never...
It would have never presented itself, you know? Right. And so that right there made... And then I ended up doing his headshots, you know? So now it's a personal shoot for him. And then I know this young lady, a young Caucasian lady named Rachel. I remember she had helped like 100 families get new housing after being, you know, displaced because of the flood. And so she was being honored, and I remember doing a shoot with her for that. And it was just a bunch of stuff that we were doing in the months subsequently after it happened. And everybody just started, you know, hey, him, you know, and I just had different opportunities. And again, I still didn't have a plan. I was just kind of riding the wave because I remember that summer coming around. This is where the idea came. That summer came around and this place was dead. It was dead as a doorknob. And I'm like, oh man, it's coming up on June. I don't have no business.
Right.
And so I started traveling from different states, and I came back home to Jersey. I started going places to make my money. And I said, okay, this is how this works. So I started planning and getting prepared. So it took to about 2017, 2018 when I really actually had a plan on how I was going to go. The only plan I had was I knew I wasn't going to work with certain type of individuals. I use a lot of times in plan, but people got to know, this is full transparency. Sometimes you don't know what you want to do, but it's important to know that what you don't want to do. That's just as important.
I love it. I love it. That is so true.
And I knew what I wasn't going to do. I knew what I didn't want to do. And so that was a good enough experience. And I had enough experience to start just making plans and things like that. And it was 17 when I moved into this space where I am now, because we went from a 400 square foot space to 3,000 square feet. And it was when I came here, I started putting a plan in place. And it was a done deal from there. And that's when I started talking about taking summers off, because that was the inspiration. I saw this place die, you know, in the summertime. You know, all the kids left. We got a huge university here, like, you know, University of South Carolina is right here. So it's like they own the town. So when they closed, the town closed. And, you know, not to mention there's four other four-year colleges that's in the same city. So when they all gone, like the town is like dead. And so everybody starts to take vacations, you know, see people till August. And I said, I got to get out of here, you know, because I can't make no money like that if I'm just, you know, counting on that. And so I started making those, you know, plans. But you got to go through your you know, your cycles. I tell them, you got to go through your business cycle. What does your business look like in the spring? What does it look like in the fall? What is it like in the winter? You know, what does it look like in the summer? You got to at least have a year in business to make a solid plan to see what the cycles look like.
So what I call that, I mean, and I didn't coin the phrase, but I learned the phrase, that's working on the business as opposed to working in the business.
Yeah.
We all are working in our businesses. I mean, that's how we make the money that we make. But at a certain point, if you're going to evolve, you've got to step away from just working in and start focusing on understanding your business cycle, your money structures, understanding the type of target that you want to go after, understanding the tasks that you want to do, the ones that you want to delegate, all of those things. That's working on the business. Too many owners, I think, you know, they say, I think it's, and I always get the stat wrong, so don't quote me, but like 50% of businesses fail within the first year.
It's larger than that. It's larger than that.
But I think a lot of it is because owners never look up and look at the business as a business. They just kind of still focus on those tasks and chasing every little dollar instead of planning for the bigger dollars that can come with just a little bit of nuance, a little bit of a change, you know. So that's a real important thing that business owners really, especially fledgling ones. But hey, even some of us who've been in business for a while, you've been in business. You said photography for 8, but I know you've been in other businesses. You've been running businesses for over almost 20 years, right?
Yeah, I'm 20 years, and I'm a serial entrepreneur.
Yeah. We're gonna call you that multipreneur. But at a certain point, it's like, you know, and one thing that I always tell people, you know, if you have too many side hustles, that means that you don't have a good enough main hustle. You get one main hustle. You know, if you got one main hustle, you don't need side hustles. I always say, you know, Bill Gates he doesn't have side hustles. You know,
I love that.
You know, why do you need a side hustle if you got Bill Gates money? Diddy doesn't have a side hustle. Now they say, well, Diddy's got this and he's got that, but those aren't side hustles, right? That's after he's made it here. He'll invest and he'll take that money to do other things. You know, and that's what we got to all think about. You know, I have an business advisory business. No, I'm not going to start doing a car wash. No. I need to make more money at the advisory if I think I need to start a car wash. So, but that requires exactly what you've done. stop working in the business. I mean, you got to do that, but take time, allocate time to work on the business,
I love it.
grow the business, right? But it's funny because I articulate, but that's what you're doing, man. That's how it goes, you know?
It's one of those things, man. A lot of people, I say the people, just because you fill out the paperwork don't mean you got a business. And so that's why those numbers look the way they look. It's just like when, you know, political polls. It's like, who did you ask that question? You know, you know, because you didn't come to my neighborhood and ask nobody that question, you know. So so it's just one of those things. It's the same thing. Like, a lot of these people are not business owners. You know, they're business owners on paper. But they're not business owners. And see, what happens
they don't register the LLC or something, but
exactly. And so that's what, you know, and so that LLC is not doing anything, but there's a lot of dormant LLCs that's out there. And so they're counting those numbers, but that's not what's really happening. Then you have the single solopreneurs, which are good. You know, photographers start out that way as well. Some stay in that space. But you have to transfer. You got to understand what you want to be. I left a cleaning business that was a 6-figure business, and I had like 89 employees working for me. So I knew what that is, and it's like having a bunch of money. Like when you've had a certain amount of money, anything under what you've had before, you're still chasing to get that back. You're not impressed by anything else. So it's the same situation with business. I said, how can I make my photography business look like that? Shooting those weddings, shooting those type of things wasn't going to do that. But getting contracts with law firms where we're now shooting casework for law firms, this is contract work. This is not, oh, wait, okay, I'm just doing this whenever they feel like calling me. No, we're saying, okay, we did, you know, forensic work going into personal injury. So, okay, you always have somebody call you. Hey, this person got hit by a car. This person messed up. I went in places where people messed up their hand, machine operators, and you got to take pictures of that. You know, people fell down the steps at work. All type of things, you know, that we've had to cover, you know, to a huge Amtrak accident where people died here that happened, I think, like 2018. And so you got the hard hat on and all that other stuff, and you got to go through car by car on the train and work those cases. That's contract stuff, you know. So you build a company that has an actual valuation, not just I'm a photographer and the only thing that's worth something in my company is the equipment. If you're a valuable photographer, you can work. You could have stepped into my business and still work the contracts that I had because I'm contract with the city, contract with multiple airports, contract with another city, contract with the state. This is a different situation. So I understood what building a business and evaluation of a business looked like. I chose to do it from an artist's perspective. Right. But that was the tool I had in my hand at that time.
So I'm gonna jump because that's powerful. I know a lot of guys who are photographers, right? And they, you know, they make a little scratch. That's what you call it, right? But you just said something that's a completely different thing. What's the difference between a photographer who makes $10,000 a year and one who makes $100,000 a year and one who makes $1 million a year? It's how they structure their business, right? It's how they look at and work their business. I love it because that's really the key. I work with a lot of dentists. And, you know, there's some dentists who make $80,000 a year. And then there's some who are running $2-3 million practices. So what's the difference? Is one that much better in the teeth than the other? No. It's how you structure your business. So for anybody who's an entrepreneur, if you keep looking at it like a side hustle, that's all it's going to be. If you want to look at it like a business, that's what you did, right? You took what most people take as a side hustle, and maybe they do a few this and that. And you're talking contracts. Government contracts, you know what I'm saying? You know, and so that's really something for owners to reflect on. If you want to be successful, figure out how to make your business into a business that can be run, whether you're doing the levers or having someone else do the levers. There's a book out. It's an old book. You might have read it. The E-Myth.
Yeah, E-Myth Revisited.
Right? E-Myth Revisited, right? That's exactly when I read that book.
Love it.
Light bulbs went off for me. You know how you might be doing something in your own life, but you've never seen it articulated. Then I read it. I was like, oh,
set up that system. He talked about the system.
Right? And now you can pull people in and you can step away. And that's what allows you to take a summer off or to take off to work 4 days a week. It's a real nuanced thing that makes a successful business owner success.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing. It's been amazing with that, you know, because again, I've seen people that's better than me as photographers. You know, they're too caught up in the art. You know, they was caught up in the art. They didn't take it seriously business wise. It was just the art. I got to be the best. When an attorney don't understand whether you're the best or not, they understand, can you get the job done for me? You know, can you be a chameleon? You know, I remember I put in my book my first time saying I wanted to do government work. You know, my best friend, his wife, you know, she worked for the government, and she said, yeah, well, you know, they're having a function. I got to work this function next week for Department of Transportation, for DOT, for people don't know. And I said, okay, so what are they doing there? She was like, yeah, well, the business owners are going to be there trying to sell their business and you know, get contracts with them. I said, okay. I said, I want to go in there. How much is the ticket? It's like $100 for a table. I said, okay, I'm going to pay for it. Paid for it, came out there, sat there, only one with a camera. And, you know, I see all these business owners with their tables. So I'm like, I just walked around, started taking pictures of everybody's table and left my business card on there. So they came around. I had a mat on my table, and I had slideshows of headshots that I've taken going, and they would come to my table.
Man,
and they say, hey, do you have the picture that you took of us? I say, yeah, just go ahead and email me, and I'll send it to you. It's like, how much is it gonna cost? I know, I send it to you for free. Don't worry about it. And then literally within the day, I had booked 7 jobs.
Man, that is salesmanship right there. That's a whole nother game. Hey, I might have to do another podcast. You're gonna have to talk about the beauty of sales.
That's all. That's literally what happened. I mean, like, I was the only one there, and I'm sitting there taking images, and everybody's like, "Oh, wow, okay, let me get that picture." And everybody who emailed me, I sent them that picture immediately. Hey, here you go.
Professional.
Here's my information. But 7 companies booked me to do their headshots.
Nice.
At that time. But this was the caveat. The young lady for DOT was taking pictures. She scrambled and called me about 4 or 5 days later. It was like towards the weekend. So let's say it was a Thursday. That Monday, she called me. She said, I don't know what to do. What happened with this camera? I was taking these pictures. I saw you were taking pictures. Somebody gave me your card. Do you have the pictures of the people that was here? Can you send it to them? By all means, yes, I do. And I was good with them ever since. So it was that situation adding value to the marketplace of all these. This is people trying to get government contracts. So I couldn't work with them immediately because I wasn't certified to work with them yet. But immediately they gave me the paperwork. But other individuals, other companies, government entities that didn't take so much, I was able to go ahead and get certified with them in the next couple of months. And say, hey, okay, we're going to give them a shot. Start off with something small. Next thing you know, I'm working. But I got all the information. It was amazing information. I took it. I went and did what I was supposed to do. And I went to all the other subsequent events around the same way. And every time it was the same thing. None of the photographers thought to be in that space. I will always be the only person there taking pictures. So, man,
that's turning your craft. That's not the craft. That's the business part.
That was it. I was selling. I was always selling. And then it started being a situation where we would give the pictures right there because we would print them out right there.
Nice.
And so you don't have to wait no more. You're going to get them right here. Here you go. And now they're happy. And then, boom, it just took off from there. So
yeah, you done gave your calling card and showed your work. That's brilliant, man. I like it. I'm going to ask you another question. This one is, you do training too. So if you could go right back before you started your first business, what advice would you give yourself?
Because my first business, me and a buddy of mine, we went to college together, and we started throwing parties. And you don't really consider that a business, but it got real because his aunt used to be a singer, and she got a royalty check from like years, and so she threw a party and it tanked. And so we came to support her, but nobody was there. And I mean, she spent a bunch of money. And then the problem was she actually rented this building. She didn't rent it for the night. She rented it. She signed a year lease.
Ooh.
And so she's like, what am I going to do? And so my partner and I, again, we throwing parties and things of that nature. So we said, we'll jump in and help out. And we put up our money for that. And I would have stayed right there. But the sad part about it is in that building, we shared a building with people that had a restaurant. It was a Caribbean restaurant next door. And when they faltered on their lease, the guy said, would y'all like to take that? And we said, yes, that was the worst thing we ever did.
Oh, wow.
We didn't know nothing about running no restaurant. They was, D-Heck was in there every other week shutting us down. You know, we didn't know nothing about it. We got the stuff in the refrigerator. We didn't know it was supposed to be in a certain temperature. We didn't know this stuff. It was just every week it was something crazy. You know, we didn't have proper soap dispensers. We just got the stuff from the dollar store. It was just crazy, man. But we were kids. So that's what, when doing that, it was just extremely fun. You know, my serious business, my cleaning business, I just would have took that. I would have took it a lot more serious. I would have took it as serious I took the photography, because I would have been a millionaire. I did extremely well with that business. But literally I didn't like it because, again, I don't like feeling like the help. You know, I would go into places and they would treat you horribly, you know, because you have a mop bucket or a buffer in your hand. And I'm like, I'm making more money, you way more money. But I was young. I was in my 20s doing this. So, you know, I would make myself feel better by buying nice clothes and buying stuff for my wife. And, you know, we lived in the D.C. area, so it's very, very fashion forward, all that stuff. And one of my biggest contracts was the women's stores, Ann Teller Loft. So we had over 100 of those stores from Rehoboth Beach, Delaware to Virginia Beach, Virginia. And so, you know, I would be in the best malls, and we would come out of there and I would just go shopping or do something else or throw extravagant parties. And we were just doing a lot of dumb stuff with that. I didn't take it seriously. So I did that with the next business. So when I got with this business, the money I went to take to go get a building, a 3,000 square foot building, I would have partied with 10 years prior, you know. But I said, no, I'm not partying. I'm investing back into this equipment. I didn't go from one camera to 4 or 5 cameras, you know, that type of thing. So we started growing into a full production company. Yeah, I could have been my wife's Louis Vuitton bag. That could have been some new shoes. But no, we put it back into business this time. And so that's what I'm lucky and I'm grateful and I'm blessed to get a chance to do it over again the right way with another business, because but that was my regrets then. But I did get a chance to do it better the next go round.
Awesome. I like it. Cool, man. Well, I want to give you major props and thank you so much for giving me some time today, man. We really enjoyed this interview, man, and got a lot of value out of it. I know when people are listening, they should pick up a lot of tidbits and know that they won't starve.
Definitely. If I may, you know, they can go get that book on jhaleem.com. I Won't Starve. And it's everywhere books are sold. So and
I'm glad you showed that, because I just forgot to. Normally, I tell people to spell out their website. So hold that up one more time so that they know. JHALEEM.com.
Yep.
All right. Yep. Yeah, man. Because you know people spell it all kinds of crazy ways.
Won't Starve right here.
I love it.
And You Won't Starve is key principles of entrepreneur development. This is a training manual. So you know, if somebody's a business. We wanted to focus on 3 different generations. So we focused on, you know, baby boomers, millennials, and Gen Z. You know, talking about, because each one of them, you know, they are in that workplace right now, but they all got different. They're starting businesses with different vantage points. And so we wanted to go ahead and focus on each vantage point. You know, that baby boomer who's retiring, you know, to that millennial who's changing midstream. And then that, you know, Gen Zer who's in college about to go out into the workforce. So we actually, in that book, we covered that, and we actually have an assessment at the end of the book. So you can kind of rate yourself and see where you are and see some of the adjustments you might need to make as you're going into entrepreneurship. Beautiful, man. Hey, man, we want to thank you again. And hopefully we'll see you on your journey to success. Keep in touch with that, and maybe we'll get you back again to drop some more gems for us. I appreciate it, man. Let's stay connected. Absolutely. All right, now have a good one. You too.